workshop is everything and anything Speakouts. So it's going to be all about speaking out today. We have some wonderful hosts and mentors at AAM, as well as our guest speaker, Jenny McQueen. So this workshop is brought to you by Animal Activism Mentorship. We are a free global online mentorship program that pairs aspiring animal rights activists with experienced mentors. You can sign up with us for a free mentor at animalactivismmentorship.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and Clubhouse at Animal Activism Mentorship. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction of our fabulous mentors and guest speakers that we have today. I'll start with myself. My name is Payton. I'm from North Carolina in the US, but I'm doing some traveling up and down the East. I've been with AAM for a little over a year now. And actually, the very first speak out I ever did was at AAM's very first in-person event. So I'm just so excited to be on this workshop and to share my passion and my experience for speak outs with you all today. So with that, I'll toss it over to Jose for a quick introduction.
Hi, my name is Jose Pérez. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. And I've been an animal rights activist I was doing a little bit of research earlier, so about 3 years. And I've been with AAM since July, so I'm pretty new to the team. And should I start it off now, Payton?
I love the energy. We're gonna let Jenny do a quick introduction and then you can take it away.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hi, my name's Jenny McQueen. I've been an animal rights activist for over 20 years. I'm active with Direct Action Everywhere, with the Animal Safe movement, with Fur Free Toronto, and I actually really enjoy doing speak outs now. So I hope to inspire a few of you on this Zoom to carry on in that regard. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Jenny. With that, Jose, if you want to start us off, the floor is yours.
Yeah, just as reference for everyone in this chat room, I was telling Payton and Fawn the other day that as reference, if you guys want to go and look for the Animal Liberation March in San Francisco of 2019, they have some really, really good speak outs, some good speeches, and I just found out that Jenny, you gave one there. So I'm like, holy smoke, she's gonna be with us today.
Thank you.
So yes, so let me start it off, and I'm basically gonna start with what is a speak out to me. And can you hear me, Payton?
Yes.
Okay, so what is a speak out to me? And a speak out to me, it's a moment in time that you only have seconds or minutes to say out loud crucial information. Like speak outs vary depending on where you are and who your target is. Some are super short, only contain straight to the point information. Those short speak outs can last from 10 to 20 seconds. I repeat, they specifically and immediately get to the point, whereas other speak outs can last from 3 to 4 minutes or even more. I'm going to walk you through my process on how to deliver a strong, clear speak out the way I do it. And the first 2 steps do not need to go in that order. You can choose whichever one of these 2 you want to do first. So number 1, like my friend Fawn said, that research the information of your target, understanding who your target is and why. For example, Neiman Marcus, because they sell fur, look into everything that's cruel and wrong about the fur industry, talk about the fashion brands that have stopped selling fur, etc. Number 2 is look up for heartfelt quotes that complement what your speak out is going to be about. For example, if I'm going to talk about the fur industry, inside a fashion store because they sell fur, I personally will look for 3 quotes that talk about kindness, 3 quotes that talk about helping others, 3 quotes about courage. Out of all those 9 quotes that I found, I will only use 2 or 3 in the speak out, but you can use more if you please. The next step, once you have lots of information about, let's say, Neiman Marcus, and have plenty of good quotes, you will now be motivated to write a powerful piece of literature. So now start writing whatever comes to your head, to your mind, about your target and all the cruelty that's involved in that specific industry. Ask yourself, why is that? Sorry about that. Add the main idea of some of the quotes you selected to what you're writing, just to add more depth to your speak out. Another tip is when you say a speak out, try to take 1 to 2 seconds mini breaks after certain sentences, so you can catch a break and be in control of yourself again. Also, make sure that when you're done writing your speech for your speak out, try to practice it several times out loud, because you don't want to sound like a robot reading something out loud. You can definitely have your speech in your phone, and because you practiced it several times before, it will sound like if you were just saying it naturally without reading. It also gives you confidence if you have it in your phone. I personally start almost all time with a quote in my speeches as an attention grabber. Another tip is try to make your speak out last from 3 to 3.5 minutes long. That way it won't be too long nor too short. So just if you keep that in mind about the video. So Payton, you practically heard everything?
Yeah, we heard everything loud and clear, for sure.
Yeah, so practically by knowing though that your speech has to last from 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes, so the amount of information that you grab about your target, you now start to proofreading it and start breaking it down to where it fits to that time frame. And just like I say, I always begin with a quotes, but all the activists that gave out their speeches in the Animal Liberation March, none of them used quotes. So none of you guys, if you guys don't want to use quotes, don't use them. Just tell it whatever comes from your heart, but try to keep it not too long nor not too short. And that's it.
Awesome, Jose. Thank you so much. That was some great information about how to structure a speak out. I think it's super important to kind of give that roadmap to people who maybe, want to deliver a speak out, but they just don't know how to get started. So thank you so much for that information. With that, I'm going to kind of continue it. There's some other important things to know when you're constructing your speak out. So different settings are going to warrant different types of speak outs. There are many settings in which a speak out is delivered, right? There's disruptions, either at a grocery store, on the street. There's protests, home demos, targeting business or bystanders. There's a lot of, vigils even sometimes. So there's a lot of different settings in which a speak out is going to be delivered. So for all those different settings, there's going to be different audiences, different asks, different requests. So it's very important to know who your target is. That's going to help you construct your speak out. And it'll also affect how your speak out is delivered once you're giving it. So let's take a couple examples. So a disruption of a grocery store. While you're constructing your speak out and before you deliver it, you want to take into account, is this part of a larger pressure campaign? Are you, with the speak out, are you putting pressure on a specific company? Or are you more targeting consumers asking for a boycott of a specific product? So with the second one, targeting consumers, asking for like a boycott, making requests of consumers is gonna require a different approach, more education based. So one that's coming to mind is the Fairlife expose that came out. A lot of disruptions were delivered after that. That was targeting consumers largely. There was a pressure campaign aspect to it, but a lot of it was educating consumers about the horrible treatment of the calves and the mother cows at the Fairlife dairy farms. So that's going to be a lot different than, say, a disruption and a speak out delivered as part of a fur campaign. So those are more pressure campaigns asking specific things of specific companies. So those are going to be less education based because you're not trying to, educate the company about the horrible things they're doing. They're very aware of that. So those are going to be more focused and, urging, shaming, being more loud and disruptive and annoying. So it's a different approach, it's a different tactic, and it's a different audience. Another kind of unique scenario where a speak out might be delivered that's going to have a totally different audience is a home demo. With that, you're putting the pressure on a specific person. So again, not so much education because like they know what they're doing. It's going to be more in the lines of the pressure campaign. You're really trying to disrupt, be more obnoxious, loud. Home demos, you can kind of pull from different tactics as well. You can include some education, right? If you're trying to make like their neighborhood aware of what they're doing, or if you're, targeting a specific person at like a conference, educating other people about what they're doing. So it's just largely, it's important to keep in mind your audience, the requests that you're doing. That's really going to help you tailor what you put in your speak out, which is a lot of what Jose was saying. Another thing Jose touched on that I really want to reiterate because I think it is so important in the realm of speak outs is if you're going to a protest, disruption, demo, anything, read as much as you can about it. Get educated about exactly who you're speaking up for. If it's, a zoo, read about all the animals that they have captive there, how many animals are in prison, how long have they been in prison for. That's really going to help you bring what you're protesting about into reality. It's going to help ignite that passion and really get you delivering a very, fiery, intense speak out. An example I have of this is with AAM. The very first in-person event that Animal Activism Mentorship did was a Southeast tour. So in that tour, we went to Emory University protesting their Yerkes National Primate Research Center. So we went there and all the activists, like we were heading there in vans, and on the way there, we pulled up some information about Yerkes and about the specific primates. We learned about specific horrific experiments that they were doing. We learned about specific individuals that they had there who had been there for generations, who had currently been there for decades. And that just really helped everybody there to be so more passionate, to be so more intense, because especially with these large industries, it's kind of easy, to think of all the beings that they're exploiting and just kind of get lost in the numbers. But when you bring it down to a specific individual and read about the specifics, it just really helps ignite that passion. And I just want to reiterate how important passion is, because no matter the amount of statistics that you include in your speak out, if you're delivering it in a more monotone voice, it's just not gonna have the impact that somebody who is just so intense and passionate about the issue that they're speaking about. It's not going to have the same impact, even if you're delivering it super passionately. That's going to turn more heads and have them listen longer. Even if you want to front load your speak out with the intensity and then get to the statistics things later on, it'd be ideal if you could keep the passion throughout, but you really want to grab people's attention because especially in cities, it's kind of easy for people to tune out, monotone voices are just like somebody speaking, even through a megaphone. But once you have that passion, the intensity, and people realize the urgency of what you're saying, because with each speak out, most people don't like public speaking. Speaking on the street to strangers through a megaphone can even heighten that anxiety. So, anytime a speak out is delivered, it's about a very urgent issue. So whatever we can do to get people to understand the urgency of what we're talking about is just gonna be that much more hard hitting. So the passion is definitely something that you want to kindle, and reading about it and bringing in specific stories and really taking it out of the abstract and into reality is just such a great way to help you get that passion. So with that, I want to talk about just some quick beginner tips. I don't know everybody's experience level here. Maybe some of you have delivered speak outs before and you're looking, for some tips on how to hone in on that skill. I'm sure a lot of you want to deliver a speak out. You love the idea of it. You love watching videos, but you don't know how to get started. You don't know exactly, how to structure one. So here are just some tips that are really going to help you learn how to build that speak out, and some things to keep in mind as you're delivering it. So I want to say, start small. If you have a lot of anxiety public speaking, and a speak out is something that's very far-fetched to you, but you want to do it, I would start as small as you can. Even if you get on the megaphone and you say one sentence, I think that is 1,000 times more impactful than not saying anything at all. So if all you can do is muster one sentence, fantastic, amazing, go for it. Deliver that one sentence with everything you have. So start small if you need to. With that, get on the megaphone. Definitely get on the megaphone. For those of you who have spoken through a megaphone, when you hear your voice amplified that loudly, and what we're speaking about, trying to achieve animal liberation, it is a very urgent, pressing issue. So when you hear that topic conveyed in such a loud voice, it really does something for you. It really is an adrenaline rush. And I think a lot of people, if you think, oh, I'm just going to start small, I'm going to say a sentence, and then you get on that megaphone and hear your voice, you might get carried away in the best way possible. You might say more than you intended. That can, even just speaking through the megaphone can help ignite that passion within you. So definitely get on the megaphone. I know it's scary, but once you're on there, you're going to be like addicted to it. So another thing is, Jose was touching on this. There's not one way to deliver a speak out, and there's not one way to prepare for a speak out. You know your mind, you know your process better than anybody else. Some people really prefer to be off the cuff. Some people prefer to just grab the megaphone, let the heart get carried away, let it come from the gut, not have anything written down, and just go for it. If that's you, that's you. If that's your process, totally do that. Some people may need to write everything out. Your very first speak out might be reading directly from your phone or a piece of paper. If that's what you need to do to make sure that you say what you need to say, perfectly fine. That's wonderful. If you have like bullet points that you're mainly speaking out and you're referencing back to, any combination of that, just do what you need to do. For instance, my very first speak out I ever did, I was reading directly off my phone. And I found that was like, I had a lot of nerves. I don't love public speaking. So reading it off my phone, when I could plan it out and really think about it, that was the most effective for me in that moment. Now, I don't like to write my speak outs out because I feel like, I'm constantly trying to reference and remember my sentences, and I'll get tripped up. I get tripped up a lot more now if I try to read it rather than if I just spit it out. So that just goes to say that, your process might change. None are, the same, whatever you need to do. The last thing I want to leave you all with is that no matter who you are, what your background is, what your experience level is, you are always going to be your biggest enemy when it comes to speak outs. Nobody knows what you're going to say before you say it. So when you get on that megaphone, in your head, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to trip up. I'm not going to say what I needed to say. that's always you. You really just need to get past that and just do it. Because when you do it, then your first time is out of the way. And if you completely bomb it, then you can only get better. So it's actually, it's great if you go in it and you fail, because you can only get better and you can only do better. I think every single person, including myself, like many times, who has given a speak out has tripped up over their words, has stuttered, has, made a mistake. It happens to everybody. But I think the really important thing to keep in mind is why we're doing this. We're doing it for the animals. I think if, they could hear us, they would be so appreciative of somebody who got up there and tried and completely stuttered and bombed versus somebody who let the nerves overtake them and just didn't try at all. So if you're really on the fence about delivering a speak out, just do it. Just get out of your own way, get that first time out of there. I think every one of us on the panel who has delivered at least one speak out in the past can say that the first one is the hardest, and then it's just like, game on from that one out. So just kind of to recap what I said, it's really important to know your audience when constructing and delivering a speak out. Different settings are gonna warrant different types of speak outs. It's important to consider your audience, who you're talking to, and also what you're requesting when you're delivering a speak out. Also, passion is your most important tool when delivering a speak out. If you can kindle that passion, everything is secondary. So a good way to do that is by reading about who you're protesting for, reading about who you're speaking out for, and also the larger industry. And then also just some beginner tips, start small, one sentence if you need to, get on that megaphone. Whatever your style is, however you need to best prepare is the right way to prepare. And also, above all importance, you're your biggest enemy. Just get out of your own way. The animals are going to appreciate whatever you're capable of and whatever you can do, as long as it's your absolute best. So just do it. All right, and that's all I have to say. So I'm now very excited and very honored to be able to pass it over to our guest speaker, Miss Jenny McQueen. So I think, Jenny, what I'm going to do is play one of your speak outs. If you wanted to say anything before that, let me know. But other than that, I'm going to give you all a flawless example of what a speak out is, if you're ready for that, Jenny.
Yeah, just go ahead. Let's play the video.
All right. Bear with me for 1 second. How is everybody enjoying everything so far? How are we doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Here we go. So just a reminder to mute yourselves. Let me move this. Okay, and here we go.
From DXC.
Oh. Were y'all not able to see that or hear that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the sound wasn't really much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me try and restart.
Yeah, but can't hear.
It was bad, is that what you're saying?
We can see it, but we can't hear it.
Okay, let me restart it one more time. Let me turn my volume up all the way. Sorry about that, y'all. Technical difficulties. I'm also in New York, and we're currently experiencing like a tropical storm, so that might have something to do with it. But let me try one more time. Mikey or whoever, if you can't hear it this time, just like unmute yourself and say it because I can't see anybody. So fingers crossed this time will work.
From DXC. International.
Still pretty muffled.
There's definitely a lag. I think it's just a lag. You can't hear anything.
Okay, let me I'm gonna send it over to Mikey and see if he can play it. But in the meantime, Jenny, if you want to kind of talk, like just say what you're going to say about it, and at some point if we can get it up and running, then you'll have a great visual to it as well. But yeah, I'll toss it over to you for now.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I think you and Jose gave amazing tips for giving speak outs. You know, I put a lot of passion into my speak outs, and that just tends to be my style. I can give you a rundown of kind of how I tend to start. I try and name who I'm targeting. So when we're looking at the video afterwards, we can, you know, people can place where we were. And I will try and say sometimes, you know, we are activists from whatever organization I'm with, such as, you know, DXC. And then I'll take some time to shame the organization or the industry, you know, that I'm targeting. And at the same time, like you say, I'll try and put a story in there. So this particular speak out, we were targeting a Rib Fest, which was happening in Toronto. And then I linked it up with an experience that I'd had just a couple of days before when we'd gone inside an abandoned slaughterhouse. And I'd taken footage of the pigs screaming basically inside a gas chamber as they were lowered down into the gas. And I find that's really powerful, because then I don't need to have anything in front of me. I don't need to have anything written. I'm just recounting my personal experience. And at the same time, I'm letting myself and my emotions go there. And it's absolutely ideal for giving a really powerful speak out. Because you're feeling the sadness and the rage, and you're expressing it on a megaphone, and it's kind of cathartic. You know, it's almost helping you on a personal level as well, express yourself. And then the other thing, sometimes after we've done a speak out, then we'll just launch directly into chanting. And, you know, for the first time taking a megaphone, maybe chanting is something that people will feel kind of comfortable with. The regular chants, you do a call and response. So you would do, you know, it's not food. And then everyone there would say, it's not violence. You can give out little slips of paper if you wanted to, so people can see what chants are being made. But I find that that's really empowering too. And it's funny, the first time I did a speak out, I remember it completely. I was outside a market, you know, selling animal flesh. And the first time I was like, oh, yeah, there's the megaphone, never used it before. Pick it up and start doing a speak out. And it's like, wow, it's very empowering. And my experience as well is if you do a demonstration on the street, then unless you're making some noise, it's only a few people around you who will actually even know that a demonstration is happening. So when you're on a megaphone and when you're leading chanting or when you're doing a speak out, then you're reaching people across the street. We even had a lady who's an animal rights activist, lived in the apartment above us. This is just last week, we were doing an anti-fur demo, came down to say hello. She heard us on the street. So it really brings attention to what you're doing. And practicing. Both of you mentioned practicing and doing research, which is really, really essential. I found an app called Teleprompter, which is great because you can put your speech write it all out on notepad or whatever, take it into teleprompter, and then you can record yourself. So go into the bathroom or whatever, you know, practice your speech. It will time you, so you'll be able to see, okay, that's 5 minutes, that's 10 minutes. And then you know you're going to take up whatever time. I don't tend to worry about if I'm doing a 3-minute or a 5-minute unless I'm asked to, because the speech that we had on video just now was like 1.5 minutes. And I was able to get across everything I wanted to say. And like you say, Payton, just, you know, just do one sentence, or take a leaflet that has been provided about the demonstration that you're at and read out the leaflet. But as you say, don't read it monotone. Pause, read a sentence, put in a comment about how awful you think that is, or this is disgusting, and then carry on. And then every so often pause and say, why can't you be vegan? Or why are you still wearing fur? And then you can personalize something that you're just reading, that you've just been given. So I find that really inspiring for me. Who's your audience? Generally, it's the organizer of whatever event you're at. So it could be, for me, it was the Rib Fest. It could be, you know, a supermarket selling animal flesh. Like, why are they not getting with the program? It could be a city council that you're going inside and disrupting. Your speak out could just be for social media, just to post on social media, just to inspire other activists. At the Rib Fest that we were at, it was a drive-through, so it was really difficult to actually have, you know, there were no particular people that I could see in front of me. So really, this one was shared on social media, and that's fine too. Even if there's no one in front of you, you've always got an audience. And you can inspire other people around you just by speaking out. People at the demo will then take up the megaphone. But you know, some of us do it with shouting. As the two other presenters have said, you've all got your own styles. If you just want to speak through the megaphone, that's fine too. Don't feel as though you have to be shouting. Just take it in your own style. What else have I got? Yeah, I mean, what's the point of the megaphone? Disruption is an amazing thing. A lot of times I've been inside places and thought I would really love if I had a megaphone with me. And if I do have a megaphone, you always have to check your batteries, test it out before you get there, make sure it's going to be working for a little while. And thanking attendees, like it's really useful to be able to thank people at the demo. So on a busy street, all your attendees aren't going to hear perhaps, but you can say, thank you so much for being here. We really made a difference. And then you get a cheer, you lift the mood of the attendees, you make them feel, you know, thanked, appreciated. I find that's an essential element. Yeah, that's pretty much my stuff. I've done a ton of speak outs over the years of being an activist, some of them in front of an audience, some of them in front of a big audience, some in front of no audience. And it really doesn't matter. You're saying what's in your heart and you're making a difference. You know, you're making yourself heard. You're empowering yourself as an activist. And you're really making a difference. And I bet there's people here, I hope there's people here watching who've never done a speak out, and maybe there's some questions about, you know, how they can do their first.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jenny. That was so much great information. I think we are going to try and play the video again. I sent it to Mikey, so hopefully his connection is better than mine. So Mikey, whenever you're ready to play it, we're ready to hear it. So yeah, awesome.
From DXC.
Rotary Club International! Shame on you! You're supposed to be caring for humans! Instead, you're hosting Rib Fests, which are destroying the planet!
Wow, that was absolutely awesome. And like you said, that was only like a minute and a half, but in that minute and a half, I mean, I think everybody who heard that must have had their heads turned. That was such a vivid picture. You really got, I mean, everybody knew what that speak out was about. Like you got the point across, you got all the crucial information, and the passion was 100% there. So if you wanted to say, I know you did a great job of introducing that, but if you wanted to say anything additional now that it was played, go ahead. But other than that, we'll open it up to Q&A.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing you say about being your own worst enemy, I look at that and think, you know, the things that I didn't say, the things extra I could have said, you know, I could have led into chanting. I could have talked about why people are not already vegan. So yeah, I mean, that gave me chills as well, revisiting what I was describing. And I think that's kind of an essential part of it, just taking people on a journey.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, if I have footage like from any of my old speak outs, I look at them with definitely a critical eye. But nobody else does it like that. The important thing is that you're speaking, and the important thing is that, you know, who you're speaking for. So, and it's funny that you say that, because I think everybody in here who saw that video was just absolutely blown away. So that just goes to show you, everybody is their own worst enemy. So you just have to do it, and it's no matter what you say, as long as you're trying, it's going to be amazing. So that's it, everybody. We did it. We made it. Everybody gave such amazing information. Jose, Jenny, thank you so much for being here. I know there's probably a lot of questions of brewing in the audience for our wonderful speakers. So if anybody has a question, you can either unmute yourself, ask, put it in the chat. And just a reminder, we are recording. So if you don't want to be on camera, either put your question in the chat and I'll ask it to whoever, or just turn your camera off and ask it that way. But the floor is open, everybody.
Payton, can I say a couple things really quick?
Yes.
I just jotted some stuff down really quick. Because I think with speakouts, like you get better and better as you do it. So I always research everything extensively before I do it. I just like to do that. I'm not like a just go out there and do it kind of person. I like to kind of look over things, but I'll make sure I have the pronunciation of people's names right. Like if I'm saying that, because I've heard people mispronounce stores, names, like stuff like that. And that's like a stupid little thing, but it's still, I feel like it just makes it look better. And then I would say, like I always make just like I do lots of research on the internet, and I write like a really big rough page of notes, and then I just do it really quick. And then I'll pick out things that really look good. But I also like check them multiple times. I want to see if it's on, you know, I don't want to just look at one thing that somebody said somewhere. And sometimes I do take quotes that other people wrote down too, but then I'll try to modify it so it's more my own. So it's really not my own, but it's like I try to speak like I would speak, because when I first started doing speak outs, I felt like I did copy a lot of things, and I still do, but I've learned to modify it for me better, because I feel like it just did not sound like me, because it wasn't. And then I always like practice my speak outs, and another good thing to do is listening to them. Like I just got AirPods. I just got them. Well, actually I got another one, and my cat put it in the water bowl after I used it once. So then I had to buy another pair, which is not good. But anyway, so with those, that's really cool, because I have, what is this app? I record everything onto voice memos, and then I move it to VLC, and that can just play things on repeat, and you can just put one in. So as of like yesterday, I started just putting one in my ear really quietly at work, and I just listen to it. I barely listen to it, but sometimes if I have a chance to listen to it, and that really helps me. And then I also would say, like, you want to practice your speech, like go through it and listen to how it sounds, because I used to write things down and then I would say it and I'm like, ugh. And sometimes I'll write things down and then I say it a few times and I'm like, that doesn't sound good. I need to change something, but it's the beginning, so it's not a big deal. And I would just like write everything out and not have it be too much, but, and like you said, like start smaller, but maybe write down like a paragraph or however long you want it to be. and make just a baby goal for yourself. Like write it down a week or two ahead, say, I'm going to say this out loud, 3 to 5 times each day, like not huge. I've heard, this is just a personal opinion. I don't think you should cuss or anything when you do that. I feel like you should, just because you might be reaching kids and stuff. And I feel like it just looks more professional. That's just my opinion. And then another thing, don't talk too fast. I definitely used to do that, and I was told to slow down. Another thing, like, you are an insane good speaker and you're very passionate. You are probably the most passionate speaker I've ever seen. But I feel like if you, pace yourself and, wait, what was I going on to? I don't remember what I was talking about. Pace yourself, and there was something else I was going to say. I can't remember. But anyway, and then another thing I would say was to have alternatives for people. Like if it depends on the situation, but you can be like, oh, you can use this, because some people are like, oh, well, what do I use if I don't have that? And then also I would record myself and I would listen to it and see how it sounds. And then another thing, like listen, I know a lot of people don't do this, but I listen to if I ever speak online, I listen to it. Like I say a lot, and I've gotten better, but I used to say it really bad, and I'm still kind of do it bad, but I'm aware of it now at least. And some people don't need to watch it. Some people are good at that, but that helps me. And I just say, like, if you keep speaking out, you get better and better. Because my first speak outs for a long time were really bad, but I always kept in mind, like, it wasn't about me. It was about the animals. If I look stupid, like, so what? There's probably plenty of people laughing at me, but it didn't really matter. So I was just like, I'm just going to keep doing it. And I have gotten better, and I still need to improve, but I can tell a difference. So, and I'd say just try to do it consistently, like maybe at every little thing, just try to speak out, like you said, small, like a few sentences or something. And then another thing I'd say like to be aware of the laws, like property lines. Police try to lie about that, and you can be like, oh, well, actually, and I like to have things where I can just reference them real quick and then show them, and they're like, oh, sorry. Or like Chris Eubanks would always print out property lines, which I thought was smart. And then if the police say anything, he just like pull them out, and that's a great idea. So that's all. Sorry, that was long.
No, thank you so much, Dana. That was some really great practical advice. Awesome. And by the way, when I first met Dana, she was like, told me a bunch of times, I'm never going to give a speak out. I can't remember this, da, 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 da. And I recently saw a speak out that Dana did, I think last month or something. And I was just so blown away. I think it was in Petco. It was amazing. So if Dana's a great person to take advice from, whatever she's saying, listen to it, because she definitely has come from, I'm never going to do this, to just being amazing. So anybody can do it. So thanks so much, Dana.
One more thing I'm going to say too, like I have a really bad memory, so I'll write things down because it just makes me comfortable. And I do feel like I still look at things sometimes too much, but sometimes I don't. And I've gotten better. And then I feel like the more I've done it, the more it just gets drilled into my head, and I actually like remember specific things. But like at first, when you're doing something you haven't specifically done before, it seems like a lot. But if you've done that, like we did the first stuff in Chicago so much, so like that's easy to say a lot of the first stuff because it's been kind of drilled into my brain, and we've done some first things here. But when I first start doing like one specific thing, I'm like, oh, it's like so much to memorize, but it gets easier and easier. So yeah, that's all. Done.
Actually, talking about memorizing stuff, the practicality, you're holding a megaphone and you've only got one hand. So your speak out can't really be on sheets of paper because you're holding your megaphone. You really want to put everything on your phone or just put it on cards. And then as you go through the cards, you just drop them to the ground. That works fine.
I think Michelle had a question next, if you want to go.
Yeah, this is for anyone. And I was just wondering about the legalities of speaking out. When does a speak out turn into disturbing the peace? Or does it just depend on the situation, the environment, and it's probably up to the police's discretion? Or does anyone have experience with that?
Yeah, I've got experience of the police shutting us down and saying that we couldn't use a megaphone. And then what we've taken then is call and response. So you still do your speak out, but you say one line and you get people around you to repeat that line. That is one way of not being able to use a megaphone. But you basically wait until the police shut you down. And then sometimes you can question them, is there really a bylaw? Show me the bylaw. And that can be a delaying tactic.
Yeah, it really is. Every place has different laws. Stores are going to have different laws than the sidewalk, than people's neighborhoods. So like everybody's been saying, if you're really worried about it, look up local ordinances, print them out, or have them on your phone. I've been told really weird laws, like I can speak through a megaphone as loud as I want, but I can't stand in one place. So we just like walked back and forth and chanted and were on the megaphone. It was really weird. I've had, people say like, you can't speak out, it's disturbing the peace. You can't have some places will have ordinances. I think they call it like nothing that amplifies your voice. So maybe they'll tell you can't speak out through the megaphone, but you can just like yell. But it's very important if you're worried about it, and especially if it's not on public property. If it's in a store or something that is private property, 100% know your local ordinances, know your state laws and regulations. So there isn't one answer. Every place, at least in the United States, that's where my experience is going to have different laws. So just if you're concerned about it, look it up beforehand.
But also, I would say, don't stress too much about looking it up beforehand, because you start your speak out and then there's generally a delay before police or security get to you. So you can tend to get most of your speak out, and then if you close down after that, then okay, play it by ear.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Don't ever be deterred because you're nervous, or scared. Like the police, have to be called. So there is a delay. So yeah. And then if they tell you, a lot of police, maybe they'll just tell you to, put the megaphone down or to move or something like that. So yeah, don't not do a speak out or don't knock it on the megaphone because you don't know the laws. Just I encourage at least to try it out, but be careful, like look it up beforehand as like a precaution. Did that answer your question, Michelle?
Yes, absolutely. And then some.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you, Jenny. Awesome.
If anybody has any other questions.
I kind of have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, first off, this was great. I really appreciate everybody's input. I was thinking that, I don't know how YouTube works, but I know we have a YouTube channel. It would be great to have like a sub channel within AAM of like, ideal or good speak outs, like, so that we can see, and because I'm a big advocate of not reading. Somebody does something well, I like to copy them. And we'll put in our own individuality into things. But if somebody does something well, let's see what they do well and why, and try to mirror that. And I think that builds confidence, I think, in the community to, if you're not sure how to do something, but you've seen somebody else do it, you're doing it. It's just a thought.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's fantastic. For anybody watching on YouTube, we do have a couple speak outs of people within our program that are on there. But yeah, definitely having like a collection of that, because that's kind of like a tool that every activist needs in their tool belt, right? To know how to deliver a great speak out. So thank you for that suggestion, Juan. But we have a couple on there already if anybody is interested, like to see more examples. And then Jenny McQueen, by the way, is such a great template, and she on her various social medias has a bunch of speak outs. So Jenny, if you want to, you can put please do your social medias in the chat here for everybody to follow. And for those like watching on YouTube later, we'll include that in the description.
Yeah, and I need to put more on YouTube. I mean, putting some speak outs on YouTube is actually a great suggestion. So maybe I'll do more of those.
Payton, can I say something?
Of course, go ahead.
This is Star. So yeah, I was just thinking like of all the types of speak outs, not only, you know, speaking out in a public place, but speaking out on social media when you're in like a room that's not a vegan room. And like today I was in a room of gratitude room, and I just, you know, just speaking my gratitude, but then at the end, you know, people are talking about people that getting cancer and people dying of cancer. And that just, it got to my heart because I've, you know, lost my mom to cancer last year and 10 other family members cancer. So I kind of, you know, my heart was really, it got to me, and I had to just speak up for the animals in that moment, because like, you know, and the way I eat, you know, it's just like I definitely eat to where it's a plant-based whole foods diet, but then that went to the animals and how, you know, we don't need to harm animals. It's actually harming us. And, you know, it just people kind of got took back in the back channel and asked me more questions about this plant-based lifestyle and all this stuff. And I just, you know, in that moment, I didn't realize like, oh, there's these little moments that you can speak up for the animals, and it's important. You know, it only takes 1 to 2 minutes, and people are already interested and wanting to know more, and it's important, you know. So I've done that several times on Clubhouse, but really it's just coming from my heart. It wasn't planned or anything. It was just kind of that kind of thing. But the more you speak up, the more courage you have to speak up for those little moments, and even moments, you know, with your family and friends that may not be vegan. It's those little tiny speak outs make a big impact. So I just wanted to say, you know, encourage people to speak up even in those little moments. So this is Star Vegan Love.
Great tips, and sorry for your loss, Star.
Yeah, thank you so much, Star. That is such great advice. And you mentioned Clubhouse. For any of you guys who don't know the app Clubhouse, it's a fantastic way, in my opinion, to kind of do your first speak out if public speaking is a barrier for you. If you don't know about Clubhouse, it's an audio centered app where it's just audio. You don't show your face. So you can go into a bunch of different rooms on various topics, whatever you like. Also, AAM has a Clubhouse room, Animal Activism Mentorship, if you want to follow it on there. But it's a good app to practice speak outs because nobody sees your face. And I think for a lot of people, that is the worry, you know, like the identity. So, and like Star was saying, non-vegan rooms is a great place to do speak outs because, you know, vegans, we already know everything, you know. There are certain things that not everybody knows about certain industries, but doing speak outs for the animals in non-vegan rooms is a great place for people to hear crucial information. So I would encourage everybody here to get on Clubhouse and spread the vegan love, like Star said. All right, if anybody else has any more questions, ask away. I think Mikey asked a question in the chat. So he asked everybody on the panel, what do you do when the audience wants to talk to you or interrupt you in the middle of your speak out? That's a great question. Like when the audience is kind of maybe heckling you or asking, you know, just talking to you. Jose, did you want to take that one?
Yeah, one time here, Maria, luckily she was still here with us, and we were protesting against Saks Fifth Avenue. And I was doing a speak out, and I think she was recording, and the guy started saying bad words, but she got like in between me and the guy. And I just continued. You just gotta finish it off. You do not stop.
Yeah, definitely. Keep going. Don't let them sidetrack you. If I can add something, if the audience or the people, bystanders are asking you, like saying specific things to you, you can work that into your speak out, like kind of a response. I saw one activist doing, she was chanting or doing a speak out about, animals used for clothing, some company that was selling animal skins and furs. And somebody was yelling at her, you're wearing leather shoes. And she obviously was not. She had, vegan leather shoes. So she was chanting, and she worked into her chant like vegan leather is a thing. And everybody was responding to that. So that's also great. And she got it on camera, and the guy was like, oh, okay. Like it was a great moment. So if you can somehow on the fly, you took the video, Ishmael. That's awesome. But yeah. So it was Jenna. But yeah, that's awesome. If you can somehow like work that in. I've also been at like animal experimenting protests, and people of, saying things like, it's science, it's this and that, and then just working various chants like, it's not research, it's violence, that kind of thing. Working it into your speak out, but you're not like actually addressing them, because I think when you start to address people, it kind of loses the momentum. So if you can work it in, that would be awesome. But if anybody else has anything else to add, that's a very great question, and that for sure will happen to you at some point in your activism journey.
And just walking in the opposite direction when someone is trying to interrupt you with the megaphone works. Turn tail and just carry on the opposite.
I have one quick question. Somebody made a mention about Emory and a protest that was done out there. And that you kind of did some research about the individuals and some of the specifics about what they're doing. Can you talk a little bit about how you found out individuals? Did you actually ask people at Emory, or did you just go online and Google it? Or what's the best way to, because I want to do a similar thing here. I mean, they do animal testing, so I want to prepare for that, and I want to do a speak in the near future.
So that's a really great question. For us specifically, the articles that we looked at had been, I think, written up by PETA. They were PETA articles. There's a lot of research out about and like testimonies and things about Yerkes, luckily for us. So we had a lot of that information. We didn't, get any information. It was already kind of written up. But if you're looking to gather information about a specific university, that would definitely be good. Whatever, like, I don't really know. This probably isn't the workshop to go into that, but we can talk about that later. One, that's also kind of a great way to speak out. Speaking out in like information, speaking out for the animals in like written things, exposés are for sure forms of speak outs. But there's probably, if PETA has already has a lot of great information specifically about animal experiments. So, if you're going to protest against a certain anything, any industry, any university, do a quick Google search. There might be people who have done the research for you already. That's just kind of something to everybody in the room. If anybody else has anything to add about that, that'd be good to hear.
I'll just say I look up things on Wikipedia a lot because a lot of people tell me I have biased information. And I'm like, well, no, I've gotten them for all these sources that are like everybody looks at. I don't know.
Well, also the industry websites. I mean, if you're looking for anything to do with animal agriculture, go on, sorry to say it, but like the Pork Council or something in Canada, and just read there. Yeah.
Somebody in the chat was asking about property lines. So saying how close to a specific grocery store can you get to? a quick disclaimer, I think all grocery stores are technically private property. So once a store asks you, a manager or a police officer asks you to leave, you legally have to leave or else you're trespassing. So you can go into a store and speak out. However, when, as soon as they get to you, whoever is in charge asks you to leave, you legally have to, or else it's trespassing and you can risk, getting banned from the store or possibly getting arrested. But, that being said, you can leave however slowly you want. You can leave however loudly you want. If you still have a couple things to say, you can get that out as you're exiting, and if you have to make your exit, like, going the long way around and you're still making your exit, that's something you can do. But as far as, specific businesses go, it is technically private property. A lot of times, this is something, if this is something you're going to do like recurring at a store, maybe close to you, it would be beneficial to know where the closest public property to the store is. So, once you inevitably do get escorted out, if that happens, it doesn't always, but when you do, to make your exit and stand at the closest public property to continue your protest or continue your speak out. But yeah, once they ask you to leave, you have to, but it's great to know like where you can stand publicly, legally, and continue your speak out, protest, whatever. I hope that answered your question.
And maybe I could address the one about the proper use of a megaphone. Generally, a megaphone has got a few buttons, so it can have a siren, which is really useful. That will bring attention too. You could push the siren button, and then you could make sure that you know how to get that off. You can have animal screams in your phone, and you can put your phone up to the megaphone and get animal screams in your speak out. But generally, just push button down, put it as close to your mouth as you feel comfortable, and then go for it.
Yeah, with the megaphone, it is really important to get like right up on the speaker. If you're even like press your, if this is your own megaphone, obviously don't do this to somebody else's, but like press your lips up on it, and that'll really help. Even if you're like a little bit away from it, it doesn't carry. So get as close to the mouthpiece as you can. Thanks for that. It's also always good to practice with your megaphone before, know how to use it, know where some megaphones have play and record buttons, get familiar with that. Make sure you know where your volume is, make sure some of them have the trigger, some of them have an on switch. So just make sure you know about your megaphone before you go to a speak out with it. Also really quickly, I think everyone here would agree that a megaphone is a pretty crucial tool to have at any protest, any speak out. The impact is just heightened 1,000 times when you have a megaphone. I think that it's essential, to have a megaphone to really amplify your voice. It makes you and your protest seem so much more official when you have a megaphone. And you can siren, you can, yell, chant, whatever. Hopefully more than one megaphone among the attendees, but at least one is a very essential tool. All right, does anybody have anything else? Any other questions?
I have a couple things I just thought of. I would say the baby megaphone, I got this on Amazon and it was really cheap. And that's good if you need to put something like in your bag and you don't, I don't know, you don't want to be too obvious. And I just got this a while ago, but it was really cheap and it's good. And then another thing with megaphones is I used to leave my batteries in all the time, but I've turned on the siren on X. I've just messed up. So I always keep my volume down all the way because I've screwed that up before. And I'll take a battery out, like especially if I'm on like a plane or something, anywhere public where you want to watch it. And then also another thing with going to disruptions, I've learned now to like scope out a place before, because I was about to go to something a while ago and I scoped it out before and it just made me really uneasy. So I think it's important to look at it before.
Yeah, and I agree about hiding the megaphone. I just take in a big like shoulder bag, and you can get a full-size megaphone in a bag and you can hide that nicely, and then just take it out at the last minute.
All right, great practical tips, by the way. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions? The floor is still wide open.
Yeah, this is Starving in Love. I was gonna say, yeah, I got a big megaphone. I got a big one, but it's pretty powerful. But I've been to a few speakouts, and then COVID hit, and I wasn't able to use my megaphone yet. So this is like a really good just topic for me to get me going on that, because I want to meet up with some people in LA and have a speak out with them. So I'm going to bring my megaphone to the field, to the soccer field, and just like practice because you guys are encouraging me. So I'm excited about that, and get my stickers on my megaphone. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. And just wanted to share with you all that I'm also making like poems, so I can recite like poems. I'm into like poetry, and so I'm gonna do like vegan poems and kind of share my message that way as well, with my groups, and possibly just out there with my megaphone. So I'm excited. Thanks, guys. This is Starving in Love.
Hey, Star, you've reminded me, another tip, if you've got a really powerful megaphone, is not to use it like a weapon. So if you've got people in front of you, you need to angle it up so you're not assaulting their ears. Otherwise, you could get into trouble for that.
Yeah, my friend has a powerful megaphone, and she like kind of showed me that as well. So yeah, I'll be careful with that. Thanks for the reminder.
That's a really good tip. Along with that, if you're at a vigil or a place where animals might be, it's a good tip to maybe just stop if you can, or at least turn the volume very, very low when animals are in front of you. If you are at a vigil, like if slaughterhouse, trucks are passing, I just stop completely. Those animals are under enough stress. So if you can, because animals' hearing is a lot more sensitive than ours, so that's just something to be mindful of. I also wanted to say, Mikey in the chat said a good megaphone is the Pyle 50 watt. That's pretty good. Pyle is a great brand. They do the best megaphones. 50 watt is pretty good. Super loud, like the best. I think they're the best, like loudness and also affordability, like wrapped into one. They're great. Also, Mikey just added, and this is an unwritten rule, definitely, to sticker your megaphone. Put a bunch of stickers on it, personalize it, because then you can get the message out two ways. If someone takes a picture of you while you're speaking out, you can have the visual message because they can't hear you. So yes, sticker it, cover it in stickers, and also you'll never get it mixed up with another activist megaphone. So yeah, great pro tip, Mikey. All right, any other questions? All right, going once, going twice. Anybody? Okay, all right. Well, I think that's it for all the questions. I just want to reiterate that this workshop was brought to you by Animal Activism Mentorship. We're a free global online program helping aspiring activists get hooked up with very experienced mentors. So you can sign up for a free mentor at animalactivismmentorship.com. Also, we do workshops like this pretty regularly. So be sure to find us on Facebook. We always put out a Facebook event page. Also, we let our followers on Instagram know. And for anybody here, this workshop is recorded and will be available on YouTube. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, you already know this. But be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Clubhouse so you can stay up to date about everything we're doing. And thank you to Jose, and thank you so much to Jenny McQueen for joining us and just giving us a shining example of everything a speak out can be. And thank you so much for your time, Jenny. It was really amazing.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be part of this presentation, and I learned some great tips too. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, I hope to see you all next time. This is goodbye. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.